Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Lounge. Today we're going to debrief Battle 2 of the Road to Las Vegas series. We had Battle 2 yesterday. I think it was another great case. Again, we had more than 300 participants, so the growth trend is confirmed, so to speak. Before going into the details, let me introduce our guests for today. We have Harry Watson. Hi, Harry. Great to have you. Case author and also local celebrity.
Good evening, Lorenzo.
Hi, Harry.
Um,
Yeah, let me go with the roundtable, then we can go into the case. Then we have Jack, we'll say regular guest. Hi, Jack. Great to have you back.
Hey.
We have Jeremy, Excel Gladiator, MEWC 2024 semi-finalist, if I'm not wrong. Hi, Jeremy. Good to have you.
Excited to be here.
Benny, future Titan Killer, MECC champion. I don't know how many names you have, Benny, but great to have you back.
Hi.
And then last but not least, we have Juan, also guest last week on the channel. Welcome back, Juan. It's great to have you. Finalist MEWC 2024.
Hey, Lorenzo. Great to be back.
Thank you guys for being here. Okay, so yesterday case, I think it was a great one, but since we have Harry here, I will leave the word to him to explain a bit more about the case. So Harry, feel free to go.
okay, so it emerged yesterday that some serious crimes had happened in XL State, and the details of these crimes had been released in some encrypted messages, which you had to all decode. These crimes being such egregious things as Oct2 hex, for instance. And this case introduced a few things that I quite liked and thought that could go into a case. I mean, I had one of my first pet projects in Excel actually went back when I was 13 or 14 was to look at cryptography, and then it was just a case. It wasn't anything formal like RSA or anything like that. It was just shifts and then seeing if I could incorporate the location of the letters as well as what the letters were into that. And I thought, this might be a nice idea for a case. It could also, if we introduce some funny looking Unicode characters, put a lot of people off and be quite scary. So definitely seemed like a good idea for a case. And that's sort of what we ended up with.
Yeah, and I think it was also according to the reaction of all the players. So I personally enjoyed it a lot. I think there was some panic going on the days before the case, when the FNWC team released the I don't know the instruction containing the different Unicodes and symbols. So a number of guesses have been made around the topic of the case. Apparently, no one turned to be correct. As long as I can kept along with the chat, because we have probably 100 ideas coming through the chat. So yeah, that was a very nice preparation. Yeah, Harry, do you want to walk us through briefly through the complexities of the case and maybe the different levels we had?
Okay, would you like me to share my screen and I can
Yeah, that would be great.
have a
Just
go
present
at
it. I will
doing
put
that?
it on screen.
Right. Yes. So this is the whodunit case. You can see me up there. We can go
We still don't
to.
see it. I don't know if you already shared the screen, because I need to see it before pushing it on stage.
Okay. Right. Let's have a look. Oh dear, no, I haven't. Right. There's another window you had.
Okay, now it's coming. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, perfect. Right. So here we have the road to Las Vegas, whodunit battle. We have some instructions at the top, and we are essentially looking at the underhand things that's been going on in XL state, and we want to work out essentially who done it, or in the case of all of the different crimes, I suppose, who done M or similar. We start with some fairly nice levels to ease them in. These were prepared by the FMWC team, in fact, so sort of sort of auxiliary to the ones that I had done, made looking at code and car. So these are the functions which you use if you want to convert characters to numbers. So these first ones are looking at an 8-bit system whereby you have a set of 256 characters with numbers going from 1 to 256. So for instance here, capital M is 77, capital T is 84. And for this level, we had a little bit of a complication in the sense that you had to be doing both at the same time. So here, you had a number which you had to convert into a character using the car function. And here, you had a character which you need to use the code function for to convert into a number. And then level 2 was slightly harder because you had to look at the Unicode characters, which is a much broader range of characters. So, for instance, you had this E with a slash through it, is one of the examples here, and you had to bring all of these into their corresponding Unicodes, which will be useful later on when we're bringing in shifts and other cryptographic methods to it as well.
And that was a nice warm-up, and maybe also to get familiar with the mechanics of the case.
Yes. And a nice warm-up with the shifts as well, just shifting an initial letter by a certain amount each time. And then we get to level 4, which was actually my level 1.
Okay.
And this was, you had now an encoded string, which you had to split into letters first before then decoding by shifting each letter by the inverse of this to get a function in each case.
Yeah.
And another little Easter egg, I decided, a little bit of a history lesson for you. Shifter 3, known as the Caesar shift, as Julius Caesar used it to encode his military messages.
Okay, didn't know that, to be honest.
That's a fun fact. You always learn something doing these.
And I think until here, people, at least the pros, have a set of lambdas to tackle this pretty easily, or for sure during the prep time, there was time to build the lambdas to do that. And the case video was very clear in terms of what is going to happen for this regular shift.
And it was speculated beforehand, I think, that actually, yes, the case video would provide ample opportunity for people to do things, to prepare like this, which is part of the reason why I originally had this as a 1. But of course, for new players who don't have lambdas, that just wouldn't be fair.
I noticed that Jack is wearing a sommelier shirt, and I was wondering if that was intentional, because if I recall correctly, sommelier was one of the first cases where we used a cipher kind of thing like this.
That was not at all intentional. I was just thinking I really need a glass of wine about now. I am going to go back and try sommelier now.
Cool. That level 5 was probably, to me, harder than level 6. I don't know if I was the only one to find it harder, because probably overcomplicated my life a bit, to be honest. I think curious to hear also from your perspective, Ari, and from the other participants here.
I personally found level 5 to be a lot easier than level 6.
Okay.
I just reused what I'd built for level 4 with a couple of tweaks, and it seemed to work. There was
you had a pretty good trick there, Jack.
Yeah, can we confirm Dim is not in the chat right now?
Apparently he's not, but I saw his video previously today, and he solved level 1 to 6 plus bonus 1 to 4 in 10 minutes. So
I've got my work
I don't
cut
know
out
which
for me.
kind of secret you're trying to keep.
So I was looking at this string knowing that it starts with a day of the week, and that means that each of those first words ends in the letters D-A-Y. So I just took a text before, picked out the first word, took a right, picked out the last letter, got the code for that and subtracted it from the code for the letter Y, and that gave me the shift, which I'd used in the previous level. And that gave me got me 90% of the way to my answer in level 5.
That's very clever.
Having gone
Yeah.
through this a couple times now, I definitely think that's probably the best approach here. I know on game day, I had a very inefficient approach.
I did start writing out 26 different shifts, and then I was like,
Yes,
but
that's
I
we all
already
did
know
that,
what
I
it's
think.
going to be.
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's what I
Excellent
did.
Finance. Can you highlight? Yeah, there we go. That's about the only time this year I'm going to get some kudos for doing something smart. So that's
That's it. That's really clever. I built the whole table, the 26 shifts and the days to the side. It's like which man matches. And then I'm looking through them, and Sunday is staring me in the face for the first one, and I'm not seeing it. So I lost time there.
yeah. And I did initially do the build, and then I was like, hang on a second, this can be done so much easier. So
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think
eventually
it
I
was
built
harder
a
on level
two-way
6,
data
but it's
table, so I
definitely
lost
clunkier.
even more time there.
Jack, did you
because
find
of
this
the-
out during the battle or after?
no, that one I worked out during the battle. I did run out of time though, because although I have some shift lambdas, I forgot that they existed. And then when we started the case, I went to click on the YouTube video and I accidentally clicked on go. So I
Okay.
didn't even watch the video. I just dove straight in, and then the video was playing. I was like, no, I'm not even listening to you. I've got to get cracking. So I missed a bunch of time in this, and that felt like the only moment something really clicked for me was kind of like just being able to do that one.
Harry, were you
Doing it under
expecting
pressure.
for people to come up with, let's say, smart solution for these shifts, or you were expecting the majority of people going brute force against the 26 possibilities?
I was hoping that we'd see a few smart solutions. I think Jack's is the best I've seen, and the best I've heard about. Mine was thinking about actually, well, you can look at what the difference is between that letter and that letter. So M to O is 2, O to N is -1. So if you've got a 2 and then a -1, then it's going to be Monday. Here, this is a 1. And so keep going until you've got a sequence that's uniquely defined. From there, you can work out what day of the week it is, and therefore work out what the shift is, which already
That's
sounds
true.
far more convoluted, but it's another way. And I thought, hoping there would be multiple different ways of using something slightly ingenious to get you part of the way there, so you could then write a fairly simple solution that would get out the shift and therefore this final word.
Yeah, totally agree with Aiden's comment. Now that you think of that, it's very simple, but to come up with that, let's say, idea under pressure on the day, it's another story. So, yeah, very nice.
The thing is, I celebrate doing that once a year, whereas someone like Dim or Andrew, when he's taking part in the early morning ones, thinks of that naturally every time they do anything. So
yeah,
I certainly think that the comment you put in by Excellent Finance just now is a great example, especially when turning back on your question, if you think level 5 or level 6 is the harder question, because I think level 5 and also later on 7 required to think a bit out of the box, and level 6 was more following a
Mechanical.
more difficult mechanical instruction. So the instruction was more difficult in level 6, but and easier in level 5.
The inner steps were easier, yeah.
But you had to think a bit out of the box. So it's also like what tool set is suited better. And for me, I think level 6 is better suited for my kind of thinking. So I thought level 6 was easier than 5, but I can definitely see that people see it differently, like Jack.
Well, it's encryption versus decryption.
Yeah.
And this was meant to be, in a way, level 6 was meant to be fairly generous in the sense that it gave you a chance to learn about all of these concepts whilst doing the encryption bit where you could see what was going on at each step before you then had to apply those concepts later on. The other thing I'd note at this point is when you think about, so when I originally wrote the case, level 5 was level 2. and level 6 was level 5. So there were originally 2 levels between this one and this one.
Oh.
So originally, it wasn't the case that you had to deal with the long shift and the Unicode characters all coming in at the same time. Originally, that was sort of get introduced as a slightly more gentle pace.
Okay.
As a case author, how do you feel about FMWC modifying your case design? Do you feel like they added value to it, or do you? Yeah, what's your general feeling?
I can see why they did it, because we're early in the season. You've got new people coming in, and if someone's new to this and they don't have an armory of lambdas, even levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 require some level of thinking. And at the same time, though, I think it's a very great shame in the sense that if anyone here tackles the director's cut, the level 7 on that is very, very difficult. But the outcome, if you do solve it, is very satisfying. And my original level 7 was sort of meant to be the punchline, because you've got these crimes in level 6, in level 7, sorry, but these are fairly minor crimes. These are just you've ceilinged someone, or you've decided to de-average someone's car, or sheet into their house or something. Whereas the actual crime was far, far more egregious in the original level 7. And there was a sort of proper whodunit about it.
Was it indirect?
No, it wasn't indirect. It was perhaps even worse than that, but I don't want to give too much away.
If indirect is a crime, lock me up.
I need my smelling salts.
Me too.
What's worse than indirect?
Merging salts.
Having said that, I totally agree with what you're saying, Harry. But in hindsight, it appears that FNWC have developed a good feeling about what is reasonably doable in 30 minutes under pressure in live, because, I mean, the calibration of the scores so far have been spot on, meaning that first places are really close to full scores, and then you have all the, let's say, development of lower scores going down the rankings. Probably here we had a clash of people on 1040, 990 and stuff like that. So maybe in the middle there was something could have been addressed better. But in terms of top score, I think it was spot on. But anyway, I'm very curious to see the director's cut, and a bunch of other folks from the chat as well.
Well, I suppose it comes down to one of
Harry, I was not saying
Yeah,
that. Harry,
yeah.
I was not saying that. Harry Gross from the chat, I mean.
You can't just keep taking advantage of whenever someone says there's an easy level in one of your cases.
Yeah. Okay. Level 7. Harry, you want to complete your walkthrough with level 7?
Okay, here we are. So we get onto some of the crimes that's been committed now. And you've intercepted these messages. And these messages are essentially confessions from a sender to a receiver. And you have to work out what the crime is and who sent the message. And you do that by working out what's the shift in each case. And then from what the shift is, you can look in this people table and you can work out, for instance, if the shift was 9393, then James sent the message to David. And you see the person who'd done it was the sender. The clue is that each message starts with a day of the week, and the day of the week incurs in a long shift in the same way we've already seen. So, for instance, if Sunday was the day, then the first word here would be Sunday, and there'd been a long shift of 6. in other words, for instance, the second character, one way you might wish to solve this is the second character is 8 along from the first character. But in this level, compared with the original level 7, it's more generous still, because actually spaces are still spaces. So you can make out from that where the first word ends, and therefore which set of characters you're looking at to find your day of the weekend, and can therefore work out a long shift and a conventional shift. When you've got the conventional shift and the long shift, you can work out the crime, and from the shift, who sent it to whom.
That's when my level 5 trick comes in really handy as well, because you can do the Y and an A, and then that helps you work out the difference for your long shift as well as your starting shift.
Jack's basically solved who done it.
I mean, you say that. I have not solved level 7. I just had a chat with Harry before this, and I was like, actually, my solution might be useful here.
It definitely was. My problem at the beginning was that it was not visually obvious that there were spaces in the message.
Yeah, me too.
I had a challenge with that.
Yep.
I had to look at bonus 5, which said spaces are 32, and so I went to match 32 into the string with the numbers, with the codes. So yeah. And at some point, I thought like, haha, okay, I'm only good with finding the weekday, and then I'm gone. But it was totally not the case, because then you need to find who is the sender. So, and that's completely another story. But I think, at least when I got there, I said, okay, I probably had 14 minutes left. I read the question. I said, I don't think so. I don't think like today's the day, so I will just keep it.
I think pretty much everybody thought that. It was when I look back at it, I don't think it was that hard. It was very scary. It looked scary.
Can you hear me?
That
I
was
probably
part of
lost
the design of
connection
the correspondence tabs, just make them look as scary as possible.
We had lost you for a moment, but you're back.
Yeah, I lost my connection for
Yeah.
a second. I was saying I read the question, spent a couple of minutes, and then said, no, let's go over the bonus questions and fixing level 5. I don't know if you guys had the same approach. Probably one you mentioned you went to battle for level 7 and you lost the battle apparently. So
But did you say you had 14 minutes left and you still decided to skip level 7?
yeah, probably 12 minutes, but yes. Spent a couple of minutes to try to understand, and probably mess around other couple of minutes to address the weekday, and then drop it. So spend some time
And in
there.
hindsight, what do you feel? Do you think that was the right decision?
Yes, because I would have submitted with 24 minutes, 25 minutes, with maybe not messing up the other questions, and that would have got me probably 3rd or 4th place. So
Nice.
I mean,
Another
it's
aspect
a
of
great bet, because you are betting against the entire field not to.
Oh, we lost him again.
No.
Another aspect that was unique to this case was the scoring, the point system was a little bit more distributed across the levels and not so top heavy towards the end. Was that intentional?
Oh,
That wasn't my decision.
Okay.
Yeah, apologies.
On
my
my
connection
original,
is terrible.
bear in mind, the level 4 that was on this case was my level 1, and it was worth 20 points.
Wow.
So 1 point each. That is just mean.
2, because there are only 10 of them.
There was one of the cases in the final that was like that. Like the final case was just 1 point each, and it just no one ever seemed to score anything.
Also, the semi-final case, the temple case. Or I think the first 2 levels, which were not that easy, had like 40 points total.
Yeah. Were you aiming for like Excelopolis point spread?
No, I mean, I was hoping that there would be. I certainly aim not to have anyone score full marks.
Oh.
At the same
You have
time,
no one with
it
full
would be.
marks.
I think it would be reasonable. I'd like most people to be able to score 500, but you know, I 4-figure scores should be the exception, not the norm, in my view at least. But
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes sense. You had
In
the,
terms of the what Jeremy I think talked earlier about the flattened out scoring points, I do not think that this really makes a difference because everybody is doing like the same points, and it's not like the points exactly how many you score transferred to any other battle, so you have to kind of adjust the stuff. So I do not think that this makes really a difference.
It makes a difference for me because I'm not going to get 1,000 points that easily necessarily, but
yeah.
Yeah, you had
Oh,
a clue
wow.
in there, by the way.
pressure's on.
I wonder how many people actually saw it. I missed it completely.
Sorry?
You had a clue in there. I wonder how many people actually saw it. I missed it completely.
It wasn't a clue.
At one point, it was.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure at one point it was a clue. I think it was just I had to come up with a 21-word phrase, and I thought I'll just put that in there. It's not helpful for anything. It never was helpful for anything. It's certainly not helpful for anything now. So yeah, you didn't lose much if you didn't notice it.
Well, it certainly would have been an interesting concept.
Which was that the data for level 5 or 6?
Level 5,
which refer to bonus
6 where you're encoding them.
Okay, no, totally didn't see that. So
you didn't miss anything. In fact, you probably gained, but in the sense that you didn't spend ages trying to work out if this was meant to be used for something.
Did anyone here actually spend time looking at that?
I did not notice it.
I just found out after.
we are all on tunnel vision during the case
solve.
also. But Harry, question for you: do you try to factor in the, let's say, to avoid people putting in guesses with later levels? For example, level 7 answers, which, by the way, was not your level 7, but it was, let's say, quite easily ready to get some points if you just put a name in. On the other side, for example, I remember bonus 5 asked for the most common day of the week, which could be 1 out of 7 probability, but it also included the number of times the crime happened. So that's a nice case to reduce a lot the probability. So I was wondering if you, as a case author, try to factor in this kind of approach, because, for example, answers to level 7 could have been person / I don't know, the encryption code or the shift. So just to reduce the probability of getting that with guesses.
I'll be honest, that's something I haven't really looked at in the cases I've written. So one of the bonuses was actually something of that ilk. So you had in the original case, in the original 7, I'm fairly sure it was something - something else, with something else being, like you say, it might have even been an encryption shift. But generally speaking, I don't worry too much about guesses because I mean, to be honest, I wasn't expecting to see all the 1040s on the board. So in retrospect, maybe I should have thought more about that. But when I had the harder stuff anyway, I wasn't expecting everyone to get necessarily to that same point, and then it being ties being made on round betweens, etc. At the same time, though, that there's only so much you can have in a data set, especially something like this, and it might end up being somewhat inevitable. I mean, even if it was what's the shift, that's still 400 possibilities. You could still do a round between, and someone somewhere will get some points out of it and go ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, understood. I'm curious to hear from you guys. What was your experience in solving the case? I mean, I think flying through level 1 to 4 and 5, then probably slowing down on 6, and then on level 7, did you try to approach it? Did you spend any time on it, or you just skipped as I did?
Well, I did the same thing you did. I skipped level 7 after giving it a quick inspection, but I had much less time than you. I was down to about 4.5 minutes.
Okay, that's
So
really.
I feel like if I had 14 minutes, I probably would have given it a good crack.
My case was very similar. I got there. I think I must have had some 12 minutes, 14 minutes, something along those lines. But yeah, I think, well, I was seeing Harry comment there that it wasn't that hard, but it's sort of the pressure cracked everybody because it looked scary, right? And I started like thinking how I would approach it. And I'm like, I have all these shifts and then I have all these days instead of, having everything vertical. I started thinking of it like, 2-dimensional. And then how do I fit the multiple characters? It was a mess. It was a complete mess. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea how to do this. When there are a lot of there were a lot of ways to approach it. The whole days dealt I think is freaking brilliant, right? That did not occur to me, but I think it was very doable. But yeah, I panicked and I went for the bonuses, and for bonus 1 I got it wrong because I was confused whether the first answers counted, the one from level 1, because those were code, not Unicode. But that was pretty much it.
In order to ask this question from my side, I first have to go back to like before the case, because I got the case link pretty late, so just like 5 minutes before you had to start in order to have like the full 30 minutes. And then I watched the case introduction videos and saw and thought, yeah, I could build a few lambdas because I didn't had a specific lambda to like convert this to stuff, and I built 2 lambdas and on purpose decided to start a bit late. So I started with like 3 minutes late or 2 minutes late. So when I started, I already had like 28 minutes still left. Then I have done level 1 to 4 pretty fast. Got hung up a bit on level 5. Have gone to level 6, solved it. Then I solved bonus 1 to 4 and level 6 and level 5 afterwards, and at the second try, it worked better. And then I had a look at level 7 and decided, yeah, this is not going to happen, and submitted with like 3 minutes left. And this in total, with the 2 minutes I started late and 3 minutes I saved, in addition to this, summed up like the 5 minutes I was early. So I could have tried level 7, but I decided, yeah, this is not going to happen. And it definitely was the right decision, because I think I would still try to figure out how to solve level 7 if I wouldn't have talked to anyone else. But thanks to having talked to someone else and watching the videos of Elliot, and also thanks to the bad check, I am finally able to solve also level 7.
Yeah, I subscribe to one comment. Scary, I think it's the right word to describe it. Mostly because it's beautifully designed, so it's scary in terms of the messages to be understood. But also, what probably convinced me not to move forward was the non-immediate link between the question and the answers, because it was mixed up, right? So you didn't have any straight connection to the input and the output, but you needed to work out with all the inputs from level 7, with all the sentences from the encryption worksheet. And that's probably something rather new we're seeing. It's kind of reminds me of Wobble level 7, if I'm not wrong. It's a similar, let's say, framework. But yeah, I like it a lot also because we need some kind of cases going beyond the comfort zone, which is, you get your input, you compute your output, and that's it. So it's always good to me to mix up a bit things. Yeah, that was the effect. I think only Dim and Sergio tried to and managed to solve at least partially level 7. So at the end, it was a real differentiator. So yeah, I liked it
It's
a
what
lot,
I
to be
like to
honest.
call a yeah, it's what I like to call, not all that long, but very difficult. Like if I had to redo this, knowing the approach, I think I could get it out in like 25 minutes, maybe even less easily, right? But to come up with it at the moment is really freaking difficult.
Yeah, I remember also reading the example of level 7, and I was not matching the shift that was coming from the example, just because it was not related to the first crime and the first sentence. So that's what caught me and convinced me not to move forward on that. So I was also scared by that component. Really scary. Yeah. I had a question regarding the days before the battle when we got the Excel file with the symbols. At some point, it seemed that there were some hints to be found in the spreadsheet. At the end, they were not. At least this is my understanding, because we had the lambda saying that's enough for the hint. Stop looking around. So I was wondering. Uh, would you like to have hints before the cases to be distributed or not? My personal answer is no, but I'm curious to hear also from you.
I'm living for this. It's like
Okay.
there is such excitement and kind of like just this build up when everyone's kind of like digging through this like preview file to try and find secret tips and hints. Or there was a case last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, where Jarman had written the case. I don't think it was the simple case, but when the original case file was sent out, it still had some named ranges in. And
Okay.
I remember spotting that afterwards while we were on the live stream. I wasn't on the live while we were watching the live stream, and saying in the chat, "Whoa, someone's left in some named ranges. I wish I'd spotted those earlier." And it had some lambdas in, which could have potentially been useful in the case. But everyone here is a bit of an Excel investigator, shall we say. We've probably all played with Excel enough that we know where we can find secret things hidden in Excel files. And to lock away some secrets hidden in the Excel files for us to dig about for, I think, is just adding a bit of extra excitement.
Harry, we have a question for you in the meantime. So, Harry, number 2 is asking, what does this crime mean?
There was a very good answer given in the WhatsApp group earlier, which is joining two octopodes together, and I don't think I can come up with anything better than that off the top of my head. But all of these are egregious crimes. There's no getting around it. There's absolutely no excuse to do a decounter or a concat or anything else. It's just unacceptable.
Hey, so going back to the
Yeah.
to the clues, did anyone come up with build any lambdas based on the previous file? What do you guys do with that?
I looked at the file and saw that all of those it got a unique Unicode, and also all of those had the length of 1, and this was everything I looked up. Yeah, I've not done anything more, and I was a bit curious if everybody wrote, I found this clue and that clue and stuff like that, but yeah, nothing serious. But I think giving out clues is a bit like a double-edged sword, stuff like that. Like the lambdas also. It's good for the people that are in this community already, that are like the pros that do this stuff regularly, and that they know where to look for this, what could possibly be done, but it's not beginner friendly. And it's always the big question, do you want to do, or do you want to try to increase the fun for the pros, or do you want to expand and also make it easier accessible for the beginners? That's always the difficult decision.
I feel like the clues probably shouldn't actually be useful.
Yeah.
I want to put that note in there. I think they should be like an Easter egg is, where it can it can send you on about 20 different potential tangents where you come up with the idea that there's going to be a chess case linked to your star sign or something. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the big question is, I certainly think that I would personally call me into this group of people that will still be looking for clues and everybody else, even though they are not useful. But yeah, I get your point.
I see the comment from James Tay there. I wrote some Braille decoding lambdas. That's exactly what I did. All the the dots. I wrote a lambda that converts them into an array, a 2x4 array of ones and zeros. Because I was sure it was going to be that. I was so freaking sure. And it wasn't. It's actually not that hard, because you do like a Unicode subtraction, and then it's a binary code for the positions.
Okay.
So it's actually very approachable in a non-insane manner. But yeah.
I agree with both Jack and Benny. I don't think that the clues should be actually helpful, but I'll be damned if that wasn't so much fun with all the wild speculation that was going back
Totally.
and forth in these days.
Yeah.
By the way, Benny, Hayden is commenting on your take that you're probably underestimating beginners, because there's people willing to improve very fast, so and to push hard in the learning and in building stuff beforehand. Do you think?
Yeah, I'll agree that those people definitely exist, and I might consider myself, when I started doing this, in the same category. But I also think that there are a lot of people that are not in this category, and yeah, I think the beginner is not a simple persona that exists and does this and this, but it's like a wide range of people that are trying to compete in this competition, or wanna get into this competition.
I had the thought that maybe like specific guidance on the cases wouldn't be good, but maybe if there was a general like topic awareness, that might be something that would be beneficial.
Like
I know
FWC.
FWC does that for their financial topics.
I think if you had given away the title "Who Done It," I think that would have been too much of a hint for this one. Because I think some people certainly would have been thinking cryptography then. I was panicking when that Unicode sheet was circulated around. I was so sure someone was going to work out what it was.
So you were not aware about the distribution of that file?
Not until after all. It's not until it was being talked about in the chat.
Okay.
Oh.
So you woke up
it
with
came as a
like
surprise
1,000
for you.
messages from the group and your file being on everybody's ends. And you thought, oh my.
And I wasn't. And the thing is, when you started talking about the in the name manager, I wasn't aware. I thought that might be a genuine hint that had been given, and I was panicking that people were going away and writing lambdas to make this case really easy. And then eventually I came across what the hint actually was, and it turned out, no, it's not a hint. So yes, to answer the other Harry, yes, that's what it was like watching it. I mean, I enjoyed it when people got it wrong. I enjoyed the concept of astrology chess, blind astrology chess, nonetheless. But I was sort of concerned, they might get a bit close and they might pre-write some lambdas, and it might ruin the fun, because why prepare beforehand when you can just go in blind and spend the whole half hour panicking? That's much more fun to watch.
I think we need a case with Braille letters playing Tetris.
I definitely think there were a few pretty good case ideas in this chat
That sounds
after.
like a good idea.
So there was one earlier saying that after Harry's interview on the BBC, that they were expecting a cricket case coming from Harry. But I'm just going to hint. Can you line that up for our UK chapter, maybe?
Potentially, yes. I mean, it's crossed my mind before that something of that ilk might be of use. So it's not completely dead in the water, but no. Watch this space. I don't want to announce anything too openly. I mean, that would ruin the fun. To answer the other Harry, I wasn't really aware of the 2022 cases. I haven't been playing that long.
Really?
Really?
So, no, my first case was Battle 7 2023.
I just realized something. I think I started working in Excel, so I already knew Excel when Harry was born. I'm just gonna shrink into my senior. Confession time.
Hey, you're not in the masters category.
Almost. We'll get there.
Harry, how long did it take to you to design this case? Because it sounds like it's quite a hard job to do, to come up with all those beautiful design codes and encryption.
I spent an absurd amount of time on case design. Probably an embarrassingly long period of time on case design. Probably it wouldn't be hyperbolic to say 20 hours or more, because the thing is, I write the questions and I go back to it and think, oh, but I like this question more. And then even when I'm sort of working through the solutions, I'm sort of constantly thinking, is this a fair thing to ask people to do? Do I want to overcomplicate this slightly more? Do I want to change this? And then I want to put all the Easter eggs. It takes much, much longer than it probably should take if you're being ruthless about how you spend your time. But it's a fun thing to do. And so...
did you have like a clear idea in mind of, okay, I'm going to have this concept of sentences built of symbols that I want to encrypt or decrypt like that with the long shift, or were you discovering it along the way where you were designing the case itself?
I'd say the elements of a long shift, Unicode, cryptography, sort of nailed down from the start. How we get from someone starting in the case with no knowledge of what they're doing to an end result, and sort of filling in the gaps in between. And also, when they've done the main body of what you want them to do you want to complicate it slightly more at the end? What bonus questions do you want to ask? And then, of course, within the questions, do you want to put these extra Easter eggs in? What sort of messages are you going to get them to do? When are you going to start introducing the Unicode, the non-ASCII Unicode characters? It all sort of builds up. It depends on the case, though. This one was relatively... I'd say I probably spent less time on this one than I have on my other cases, because it wasn't a map case. I'd say both Census and Wabble took longer than this one did.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I thought the opposite. Census seemed like, at least from the outside, like easier to prepare, but of course I have no experience. So.
No. Well, Census was my first one, and for that one it was a case of how do I mean, the director's cut of Census had more in it, and there was a lot of back and forth on how we do that, because my first draft of Census they actually said was too easy. So I made a second draft, and then they said that was too difficult.
So you took that seriously, and
yeah. And then in the Census case, you've got the made-up American town names, where essentially what I've done is I've put 20 prefixes and 20 suffixes together, and then just randomly given them a US state, because that's how in England we assume that Americans name their towns. If of course they're not just copying our town names.
Yeah, Harry, is a comment for you, as usual.
Well, the Goldilocks approach to case difficulty. Yes. That's also definitely not a hint for a case that might be coming up in the future.
I feel like that needs to be a case written by the three Harrys.
The joint Harry case.
Yeah.
Full
I
power.
don't think there's ever been there's a few cases that are joint. The finals last year was joint, wasn't it?
Yeah, the final case and also the ones from Brazil, I think. Klinsmann plus Dim and Peter, for sure. And then we had the Sleep as a Sport, co-authored by Harry and the dog. I don't remember the name. Cooper.
Cooper Siders, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I also think some of the MECC cases were co-authored from David Brown and some other professors.
It's listed as a team for the MECC cases. So I think sometimes it's one of them, but everyone's listed as part of the team. Yeah. So I had the very exciting day of, I've promised you, I have had 28 straight hours of Harry Watson with a bit of sleep in between.
Lucky you.
Because I started the battle last night. I then got on a call to speak to my secret weapon against speedrunning versus Dermot to kind of like work out solutions that I hadn't yet worked out. And then I started looking at the MECC case because I spent today recording an MECC walkthrough. And then I spent today. I had some sleep then. Eventually, well, I don't know if you. There was some chat happening last night pointing out that I have not. I was not asleep last night. The best 28 hours. And then after a few hours sleep, I got up, fought a bit with the green screen, and then started doing kind of walkthrough of the MECC. Then had a call with Harry. I'm now having this conversation, and I'm going to finish out my day by doing the walkthrough of the MEWC for the UK chapter. So it is just all Harry for probably a solid 32 hours.
Did you just have Unicode characters flashing in your dreams last night?
I'm definitely going to have them tonight, especially like I can't pull myself away from level 7 right now.
You better finish it. That's not a fun dream to have. I've had similar dreams. It's really unfun.
How do you rate the difficulty gap between the original MEWC case, original so to speak, so FNWC review, and the MECC case? And by the way, bonus question for Harry: do you design the MECC case, or is that adapted by MECC team?
MECC team adapts that.
Okay.
I haven't even seen the MECC case.
Okay. Benny, Jack, you did solve, right, the MECC one?
Yeah.
Do you think it's, I don't know, 3 times easier?
I mean, first of all, you have to, for that are not that familiar with the MECC at the moment, there are 2 MECC cases, in fact. There's the junior Versailles case and the Versailles case, where the junior is tended to be the easier and the Versailles is the more difficult. I think... I don't know how much I want to spoiler at the moment.
I think they're still going live, so we can't really give away, this
exactly how much. But I think the difficulty is for this case, it's more like level 1 to 6, what tend to be on the easier side of cases, and level 7 was pretty hard. And I think that that like level 6 is like the hardest level of a possible MECC case. So just that for the difficulty, and then everything above is like moved one up. For the Varsity case, the junior is easier. Just a rough overview.
Yeah. And I'd say that there is, when you look at the kind of case progression difficulty level for any MEWC case, Road to Las Vegas case, whatever, especially like throughout the year, you start with question 1, 2, 3, 4. It's getting progressively harder. 5's a bit more of a leap. 6, it's very much got that kind of very steep curve of difficulty when you leap from 5 to 6 and then 6 to 7 in the main cases, and it's just taking out probably the last extra leaps to bring it to a varsity level case. It's that you still have a steep learning curve for the students coming in there trying that out, but it doesn't have quite the same expectation of leaping to the really hard questions that you have in the main competition.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good explanation. And I also think that for the final cases, they're also more difficult, like the in-person cases in Vegas. So I would say that the final cases we used on the stage are on the same difficulty level like a regular Road to Las Vegas event. But also the MEWC final cases were, greetings to the other Harry, were much more difficult than the Road to Las Vegas cases.
Understood. Am I right in saying that this is the first time the FNWC releases the world rankings? At least I saw them after the results have been posted. I'm not sure they were already available before this case ended. How do you feel about this new, let's say, data to analyze and see after each case? I think we will have the update after every case, so we'll see jumps in the rankings according to the best 5 scores. So I'm pretty excited to see how it develops, but it was kind of surprise for me. I was curious to hear from you guys.
I definitely think that this is a huge increase in
hype.
In hype for the additional Road to Las Vegas battles, because now I'm qualified. In the last 2 years, this would mean, let's play the other battles just for training purposes, but there's nothing to play around, to really play about. But now it's about like the seeding, and it really makes a difference if you face them in the Road to 32 or never before Vegas. This definitely makes a difference. So I'm really hyped to see how this will play out. And I also think that right now the rankings that are public are not that.
I think we've lost your audio, Benny. At least I cannot hear you.
But if people like Andrew haven't taken part in the second battle, but in the first battle and were under the top 10, they are now somewhere in the 100s, 200s behind everybody who has taken part in both battles. But of course, only the best 5 results are counted. So he will definitely move up if he does the 5 battles, which I think he will do.
Someone mentioned how scary it would be if Andrew doesn't qualify. He doesn't get seeded. So you might run into it.
All the season spent on getting a good seed, and then eventually you get seeded against Andrew around the 200.
No, it's him against Andrew in the first round. Everything will be fine.
He could do it on purpose. It would be the ultimate troll.
Yes.
Like I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get seeded. So I'm gonna nuke someone.
Just for the sake of adding some extra pressure to the tournament, because I already won 3 times the World Championship, so I want to win it in hard mode without the seeding.
I feel like FMWC should retain a privilege to modify if they need to, in that
someone.
And I think they probably do that. Sometimes they need to do that to make sure people are in the right time zones, so they don't pick up their own cases if they are able to switch between zones, or they do switch people around. If I believe I remember someone getting switched out of their brackets a couple of years ago because they didn't want to appear on the live stream, so they kind of switched them out to another bracket for someone else. But I'm actually like enjoying. So the last few years, it's always been kind of seeded based on the previous year for the top 8 or something like that.
It was not based on the Financial Modeling World Cup, not on the.
Was it on the Financial Modeling World Cup? Okay. So what I find interesting is that this now allows for a lot more newcomers, whereas previously it's kind of very limiting to newcomers, and you exclude a lot of fantastic competition that's coming through. And I think most of you are fairly newcomers to the competition in the last couple of years, and you're way up above me in the rankings, let's say, but you wouldn't have necessarily been counted in the old way of seeding it the way that they did it, depending on what you participated in and how long you've been participating.
I think overall the seeding is a big improvement. I'm really happy that they're doing that. I don't honestly understand why the entire tournament is not seeded, why they're restricting it to just 32, but I think that it's a good way to design a tournament.
So you were saying you would produce the brackets using the full 256 seeding, so for number 1 against 256 and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, personally, I disagree with that, because that would put me up against like Dim or Andrew or someone if I do get through. I feel like you need to kind of like stop at a halfway point and shift it or something.
Someone has to take the bullet, Jack. It's been me the last 2 years. I had Willem and Tim back to back.
Oh my god, it's painful.
That's a tough. That's a tough draw.
Yeah.
But also the big question in this point is, how do you seed players that only take part in the big qualification rounds versus players who qualify through the Road to Las Vegas, which is like 90 people of 256 qualify through the Road to Las Vegas battles.
I'm guessing a lot of people do at least participate in the Road to Las Vegas, so you have some idea of where they're ranking anyway.
Yeah, you might also consider the online qualification round as a battle that counts for like 3 battles, stuff like that, maybe. So if you're good in
that could be interesting. Yeah.
Or they could do something like you gain points. I mean, it's quite unfair for the people in, let's say, not lucky time zones, but you collect points if you participate to more battles. And then you have the qualifier in September, where either you get a very high score and you, let's say, compensate from the battles you didn't play, or you need to play the battles to qualify, like in the full season format. But that will be some arguments around people coming from New Zealand and Australia who will be in a difficult situation. Yeah. Also, Michael is confirming that the perfect seeding is probably hard to achieve.
What do you guys think about the new number of players? Like, there's a lot more qualified players this year. It's double.
That's a tough one. I think I like having the under 25s and the overs for sure. That definitely is great.
Okay.
But it does make it a lot harder to qualify in the qualifiers.
But I think you qualify higher, right? You used to have to get to the top 32 to go to Vegas. I think it's higher now, isn't it?
I suppose there's a lot less of the good competitors to go up against, but there are a lot less slots to fight for. And it also depends on the region. So if you're in a region that doesn't have a lot of competitors, then it kind of changes how you play. The regions that are more populated, so North America and Europe, have a large amount of competitors. So the scores that you need to actually qualify tend to be a little bit higher than the scores you need to qualify in Asia, Africa, South America.
Yeah, I know that. Like my first qualifier was very much looking into this, like, what's my competition like, right?
Yeah, Harry is saying it's getting bigger, and also the qualifier possibilities are differentiating through the local chapters, which I think is a great addition to the format. To me, yeah, double the spots, it's more attractive probably for new people in terms of qualifying possibilities. For sure is an extra step in terms of knockout formula, which I think all know it's quite tough. And I have a track record of not going past the round of 64, or 32, I don't remember. So it adds an extra layer of complexity. So we will see how it turns out.
Jarman brings in a good point as well on one of the
Yeah.
rounds, because we're starting with 256 this year.
I think the last three, not the first three.
So it's
I
256 down to 64, and then it goes 64, 32, 16.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
don't think I knew that.
3 in a row is mentally demanding, probably. Yeah. And Andrew, I think, was like in a 4 a.m. time zone, so I think it applies also to him. But
Oh yeah. So Harry Ross was mentioning there one case per week. I don't think my heart could stand that.
in theory,
seems,
yeah, now I got what he meant, because if you have the MEWC regular, plus you add the UK chapter, plus you add the Brazilian chapter, plus you add the South Africa, plus you add everything which is coming, I think, shortly. Yeah, I'm quite excited to do that. I'm not sure my girlfriend will appreciate a lot knowing that.
I think he's gone again.
yeah, but I think it's pretty clear what he wanted to say. It's a lot more cases. I need to subscribe to that, by the way.
But that would be a dream for us in particular. Like, one of our biggest challenges is just not having enough training material to train on. We're repeating cases over and over. It would be really great to have novel training case every week. It'd be cool.
Well, as
it'd be
a
amazing.
bonus kind of advertisement here, sign up for FMWC UK. You can still participate under the fun category.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
That having like the UK Open and the Brazil Open and stuff like that, to have like a championship for every, like the regional championships, and having like a few smaller tournaments that are also public, in extent to crowning the local champion.
I have to say, I'm pleased with the outreach efforts for the UK chapter. You guys are doing a good job marketing it. Like, there's been other tournaments that I didn't even know existed. So there's cases from like Madagascar that I haven't tried yet because I didn't know it was a thing when it happened.
And they're very hard, so be prepared.
Yeah.
Well, I must say we have Harry and Harry writing our cases, so there's a lot
Are
of
you
potential
thinking of
for
hard
chaos.
cases for UK or easy cases to start?
As easy as we can make them.
Like, you do not have the FMWC team that makes your case easier, so you can
Well, we
expect.
review each other's cases, so yeah.
What we're trying to do through the year is actually progress the level of the cases, so that our first free
That makes
case
sense.
is the easiest one, and then the first competition case is, still relatively easy, and we kind of build up the level throughout the year.
I think there are certainly people that tried to convert the pre-1900 dates to Excel dates that
Everybody did
Let's
that.
be a
that have
really
an
Everybody did
opinion. That have an opinion on the difficulty. I built a lambda by now. If anybody wants to do a case, it does not include leap years, but I have built a lambda that can like create a date based on pre-1900s. Like,
How far back does it go?
It's a negative
it
date.
goes back until whenever you want, but it does not include leap years. That's the big problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does it
and
count
then
for the
you
change
gotta
from
understand how the Gregorian calendar really works. Like every 100 years, you leap a leap year.
Yeah,
It
and
gets
every
complicated.
400 years you do not leap a leap year.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah. But also, if you go back until the 1200s, you have the difficult decision. The Gregorian calendar was like used around that time. So yeah, you have to decide if you go up after this point to the Julian calendar, which that's one thing of those not. Leap years are a big problem. Yeah.
But yeah, when I learned about that, I was reading Humble Pie. I don't know if you guys have read it, but it mentioned in I don't know what year it was that the Russian Federation got super late, like a couple of days late to the Olympics because they were on the Julian calendar.
Oh.
It's yeah.
Harry, we have a question for you, I think, because you are the only case designer here. So what's your favorite one among the cases you have released so far?
It's a good question. I mean, I like them all for different reasons. I think I'm really quite chuffed by the reception that the UK sample case Right Royal Battle has had. I mean, when I wrote that, I did put a lot of effort into it, but it was one of these I thought, this is going to be a very easy case. The pros aren't going to find it that interesting. It's there to encourage new players along, but actually everyone's put up solves of it and has found it interesting, and that's been quite endearing. And there's a lot more personality in that one, I think, compared to some of the others as well. And Census as well was just the original, my first stab at it. So that's always going to be special, but they all are in their own way.
What strikes me is how different each of your cases have been. As a competitor, I thought that I'll go and practice all the Harry cases, and it didn't seem to do anything for me because they're just all been different.
I mean, hopefully there are some themes which run consistently throughout. I try to have some real world knowledge in there that people might not necessarily otherwise have. I try to have a few Easter eggs in there. I try to throw a curveball towards the end. But no. Oh, is there some alcoholism going on over there?
I'm living up to that sommelier shirt, except it's not wine. It's some kind of coffee-based milkshake alcoholic beverage.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, I just received a WhatsApp message in Portuguese from Cubo Tres, which I think is Klinsmann Infrastructure, sending me a message because the Rodada 2 is starting shortly. So I subscribed to Brazilian Championship and I'm probably part of the audience. And that's very nice as a reminder for WhatsApp. We can say that to the FWC team to implement this reminder.
Yeah, that would be good. So is that a live stream that's going live?
I'm not very up to speed with my Portuguese, so we'll try to translate, let you know. But I think he does live stream this year, so he did for sure for round 1. So I think he will do that again for round 2.
Cool. So he's the one doing all the casting.
Yeah, Gabriel is confirming. I don't know if he's alone or with a co-host, but I think Klinsmann can manage it also alone. He's a very good showman. So
can we just comment on Klinsmann and Elliot as commentators this week?
There were 2 hosts in the last FNWC Brazil in the first battle. I just had a quick look, and I think it's like his co-organizer who, as far as I remember, Lander. As far as I remember, Klinsmann talking yesterday. He has also written the case that will be used tomorrow. It's his first case that he has written. So
there's subtitles.
Yeah, I don't have a translate function.
Would you encourage other people on the stream to write a case?
presumably that's for me. Yes, it's. I'd say it's enjoyable. I'd say it improves your own understanding of things as well. It's one of these. It's a lot of time commitment, but if you want to commit the time, and it's something you're interested in doing, do it because it'll add something to the community. You'll enjoy doing it. People will enjoy taking part in the work that you've done as well. Especially with these local chapters, there are more opportunities to do so.
I mean, I have written a case, and I've written 7 more that are currently in the pipelines.
7
7.
Seven.
7, like for real?
written and released to FNWC, or just in your at your
4
desk?
of them, 3 or 4 of them have been to. I think 4 of them have been to FNWC.
Wow.
Wow, you've been prolific.
This is another
sent-
Kingsman
I-
in the making.
Watch out, Klinsman.
I sent one. I sent one and I have ideas for like 3 more, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to that.
I have also an idea folder that has 7
Oh,
more.
dear.
No, it's 4 more just.
I have a
but
special book for
I'm
the
not
cases.
sure.
Wow. That's the mastermind workbook.
Yeah, a mastermind book. I think I've probably averaged 1 case every year and a half out of the actual cases, none of which have ever been published. And
Why not?
So one I haven't submitted because I've been stuck on how to solve level 7 of my own case for about 3 months.
Okay. Sounds
So I
useful.
decided I can't write level 7 if I can't solve level 7. And the other one is Robo Benny. I love it. Can we highlight Robo Benny in there? The other one I submitted probably a year and a half ago, and I believe Dim tested it and decided it was too hard, so it's never come about. However, I can't use it for training because it might still get used at some point.
We are just not ready for that.
They're just not ready for the jack. And then the rest
wow.
just all ended up being kind of the financial model ones, which
Okay.
I'm not doing this year because I've got a lot on with the UK chapter. So
Jeremy, are you into the idea of designing cases? Did you already do that? Or you're just
Absolutely
like
into
me,
the
so-
idea.
Okay.
I haven't written any cases yet, but I came away from this Las Vegas experience being very invigorated and wanting to join the community and wanting to grow the community. So this is something I'm very interested in doing. I just haven't had time yet.
Harry is confirming we just need to improve before be ready to tackle Jack case.
would it help if I brought you a book for your own case design, Jeremy?
It gives you inspiration as well, probably. Yeah, we all need one.
I don't understand anything that's not in the format of a spreadsheet.
Right. So a book with spreadsheet format sheets.
Perhaps that might be close.
Do the
No,
spreadsheets
but
by
that's
hand.
kind of your standard math book, right?
Standard what?
No, I was saying it's your standard math book, with the
Oh, yeah.
cells.
Okay, guys. 1 hour and 20 minutes in. Do you have any closing comments or topics you want to discuss before wrapping this up?
I wanted to talk about the commentators
Oh, really? Correct.
because we
So
we
Elliot
had
plus Klinsmann.
Klinsmann and a new appearance from Elliot, who has been amazing in his videos this year. And if you watched Elliot and Lorenzo doing kind of analysis last year, that was really good. And I was going to say Elliot and Amber did the speedrun video, and were amazing at that. So the next step is what did we say? Who did we decide was going to go with Amber? Dim.
Dim.
Damn, yeah.
It was Dimber.
Yeah. Dimber. So
We might have to title that one "Excel After Dark."
yeah, we might have to have alternative commentary.
I also think the fact that the commentators are allowed to play the case with like the same restrictions a few days before the case gives a huge improvement, and it's also the thing that Dim said he is ready to do the commentation because he declined earlier.
Yeah, I think that's great that they've started allowing commentators to compete in advance and then go ahead with that, because that opens up a lot more commentary options.
I gotta say, it's not an easy skill at all, because in our informal like pickup battles we do weekly, I tried to do my own announcing, my own commentating. It is hard. You can't think of the things to say that is going to be interesting, and like dead air silence, just it's awful. Yeah. So kudos to everyone who's been doing a fantastic job. Winsman and Elliot, no exception.
Yeah.
Is there a limit given by the platform to have just 2 commentators? I mean, they could have also potentially 3.
I think there should be a 3-person commentary team. Not that I'm pitching for that 3-person commentary team that I had going on in Vegas, but there should definitely be a 3-person commentary team. Especially, I love the idea that's been pitched a few times of having the case author in there.
Yeah, that would be great.
You can kind of like chat with the case author, get some of the technical things.
Yeah. That's really a good idea. Yeah, Amber confirms it's very hard, so she probably filled the gaps with some random stuff. I still need to watch that video. I'm quite excited to see it, but yeah, still
it's the video of the year so far, I must say.
Yeah, I know. I'm quite behind with watching videos.
This is the speedrun video where we used XL Robot to try and beat Dim at Road to Las Vegas #1.
Ooh. And is it on your channel, right?
It's on my channel. That's
Which, by the way, is this Jack. One?
Okay. And we popped it on that channel just because it was the easiest to do on the day, and now it's going on this channel. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have another speedrun. It's happening throughout the year. So it's not going to be as good as that first in-person one. That was amazing. But I'm hoping I've missed all of Jeremy's live battles in the Discord, and I really want to hear a bit more about that. And I'm hoping that sometime through the year, we'll actually get like a live stream of one of those. That would be kind of fun to watch.
Definitely not opposed to a live stream. I just didn't want to slow down with planning. It was just like, you know what? The point is training. Let's get in there, have fun. And so we've been doing that. I think we've had 3 or 4 battles now. Right now they're scheduled every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's convenient to me. I know there's been interest in varying time zones because not everyone can make it then. So in the future, we're going to try to shift it up a little bit, but certainly pop into the Discord. It's your Discord server, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's everyone's Discord server. It was a decision we made after Vegas 23. So.
I'm glad it's there.
Every time I'm trying to go back, I'm so sad to see you guys. Okay, anyone to join a live stream in 1 hour from now, but it's fucking 3 a.m. in Italy, so it's a bit too late.
Well, I don't think it'd be hard to organize more of those, right? Like a lot of people seem interested, and it's kind of off time for them. So maybe you have 2 a week, one, Italy time or whatever, matches.
We could maybe post like a calendar of I don't know, preferred time slots from every time zone or region. Yeah. Because we are all addicted at the end, so I will be very pleased to join every possible live stream we do. We had a very interesting question, in my view, from Harry. Do you think we're able to make some predictions about where the direction of the Road to Las Vegas series is going for 2025, or is it too early to do that? In terms of, I think Harry is referring to the case type with patterns, but Harry, please confirm if that's your question.
I think predictions about Road to Las Vegas Battle 3, I think Harry Siders will write the case and Dim will win.
Harry.
That's a very strong prediction to me.
It's going to be written by a Harry, and Dimmer's going to win.
Harry Siders wrote Case Battle 3 last year, so it only seems fair it should be him again. And, we need the other Harry.
Don't write off the Titan
Makes sense.
killer here, though. Benny could give them a good run.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the other prediction being Dim getting 1,000 points.
Yeah.
We read them up, then a data. Was that a data case or like an algorithm?
So the next one's going to be a text case?
Game case.
I thought this was more of a text case rather than a data
Well, there
case.
wasn't much text manipulation. It was more kind of like you using the code of the thing. Next will be maths.
Jeremy.
Oh my goodness.
Jeremy, that's
Hello.
the one thing that I suppose does link my cases, which is it's very difficult for people to pin down what my cases actually are.
We do have a spreadsheet that we track the cases, and we haven't actually done these cases yet for this year, but we have all the cases up until last year, and as we put the cases in and we do them, we tick off what they've got in the cases, and then it predicts, works out trends by the type of thing that you get from each author. I also have a very strong conviction that every first-time author tends to do a map-based case.
Oh,
And that seems to
does
hold out
look
about 90% of the time.
One of my
So what
favorite
you're saying
papers-
is that if we will see a new case author announced like the Sunday before the battle, chances are it will be a map case.
Ooh, yes. Practice your maps then.
Let's see if that pans out.
I think
I like it when
that
there's
last time.
continuity in between cases, or at least some elements. The Lana Banana, for example, just something that carries on.
Lana Banana is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
How
that
do you
will be
feel
a follow-up
hearing
of the
about
Battle of
doing,
Titans, the Battle
a
of
sequel
Harris.
to any of your cases?
What?
So I can tell you now there's going to be eventually a sequel to one of the cases because the UK sample case was Right Royal Battle Part 1, which
Okay.
implies that a Part 2 will come along at some point.
Will the monarchs in part 2 have stats and fight each other?
Um,
Oh, like a Titan one.
I had not thought of that, although
That's
that
for
would be
Royal
an
Battle
interesting
number 3.
idea. There's-
Would
there are a few
would
elements I
Elizabeth
wanted to do
will
already.
win everyone?
It feels a little bit too similar to Clash on Titan by the other Harry.
Sneaky monkey watches everything. Where's my Lana Banana t-shirt?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to working out what new cases will deserve t-shirts and get repeat characters that kind of start showing up in future years and in future cases. Because Lana Banana is definitely a bit of a thing. I'm voting for X Lucky to come back because I've got a great X Lucky V Lucky shirt.
So you're creating the market for that, basically.
Yeah. This is why Lana Banana exists so much, because of that t-shirt, right?
I don't normally have characters in my cases, but I suppose I have made XL State appear twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Is
had
that-
one case idea where I sat down and thought about designing a case just on the base I want to make it on a shirt and want to create like a character. And I even pitched prompt to ChatGPT to create me a few character names. I came up with a good name, but not with a good case at the moment.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
gonna
feel that
go
should
up-
be your ambition as a case designer, is always to get a t-shirt out of it.
I'm gonna go update my case so a character fits into it.
Are you guys training against potential case ideas. I mean, I think there are a couple of topics which are so obvious that I'm surprised they didn't come up as a case topic. So I was wondering whether it's a good use of time to like already prepare for something which doesn't exist at the moment, so a future case idea.
If I
I think
would
you'd
do
have a
this-
pretty good challenge to figure out what that might be. I mean, other than like being proficient at manipulating decks or dominoes or game type games. But I think that anything that stretches your ability is really a good thing. So if you're learning something new, you should go for it.
I certainly
wrote
think
Well-
that this is pretty important. But when I did design my cases that I mentioned earlier, I designed most of them like 3 before the Las Vegas finals last year, and I decided to build them like 1 month before, and have done it like in preparation, in training, like in the hopes that I've forgotten what they are mostly about in the 1 month between writing the cases and Vegas. And then 1 day or 2 days before Vegas, I did them to practice. So it was something new, but something that I've written, of course.
And did you think you get any benefits from that approach?
I've won the
I mean, apart from
MVC,
writing the case, which
but I don't. I definitely think it was. I haven't forgotten so much that I hoped that I have forgotten, kind of. So it wasn't that much of a new thing. It was more I knew everything and knew how to approach this case and how to do this. But it definitely got me into like a bit of practice. But I definitely think you could have also done this with past cases to get in the like practice and doing a few cases a day before Vegas.
yeah, I did something similar, not on purpose, to be honest. Probably 1 year ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, I designed it 1.5 year ago. I designed a case for the full stack model community, which was a very easy one. I will not spoil the topic, which was posted there and solved by a few people. And eventually I solved it again this year. And the effect you were mentioning, Benny, was true. But I mean, it was more than a year ago. So I had to solve it like from scratch. Of course, I had in mind the general idea of the solve. It's a very easy case just to manage expectations. But in terms of having the fresh experience, I think it works. But you are talking to the future self 1 year in advance. So it's a very long shot, if that's the purpose you want to get.
I would expect that in a year you would forget most of it. Like, I think I'm up to 100 cases now in my folder. So I rotate them every, 3 months. And every time a new one comes up, it's not that I don't remember, but it still feels fresh enough.
Mm. I like Harry's comment there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I love the rotate them expression. I think it conveys the message very clearly.
That was Klingsman's plan.
It's a bit like when you write your own case the first time round and you're trying to do your solution to your own level 6 or level 7. And you realize, oh, I'm going to make all these other people do this, but it also means I have to do it myself to actually work out what the answer is for FMWC.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
you
problem.
better not
right
get it
now.
wrong.
Did check it for this.
Mhm.
With Ship the World, I sent them wrong answers. I don't know if I sent them wrong answers or they got the wrong answers, but I got an email stating that we have got some different answers for those and those cases because they were the instructions weren't that clear in the first draft.
Which case was that?
Ship the
We had
World.
the Ship the World case. I think it was Battle
I
4
don't.
or
I mean,
5.
that
Battle
Ship the
4.
World was a wonderful case.
Yeah, it was fun.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's also my all-time high in Road to Las Vegas, so thumbs up for me. Oh, Harry is saying you got with some collaboration ideas on designing the case from UK chapter. So this is adding an extra level of hype from my side to see what you're designing, guys. And
So I
also,
must
let me say,
say-
I'm trying to arrange my trip to London for September the 20th for the finals, at least to be there.
September the
Uh,
6th. I
the
think it
6th,
is.
okay. The 20th is Brazil, okay. I'm trying to arrange also
You're going
that.
to Brazil as well. Okay,
Yes.
great.
If I can do so. So that's the idea.
So the one thing I will say is it's very interesting being on a group WhatsApp chat with Harry and Harry. Troubleshooting potential ideas for cases, especially around a very British theme.
So they're like brainstorming heavily and you are moderating the brainstorming as a mastermind, or do you actively contribute and pump up the brainstorming?
Every now and again, I like poke something in there just to keep them going. But most of the time, it gets. I finished my maths degree probably 20 something years ago now, and I cannot keep up with the maths these days at the level that they're discussing it. So it usually gets quite technical on the mathematical side of things.
Well, I think we both sort of remind each other as well of what we've forgotten, and then just these discussions.
And then you start launching into it.
Nice bit of finite time blow up in the mathematical discussion. Anyway, the UK final is going to be a collaboration between the two nicest, most pleasant, most simple case authors, perhaps, whose name starts with the letter H.
I'm thrilled to see it.
Don't be scared.
I mean,
I have
still
seen
think that
ideas and they do look rough. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be interesting when we get to the finals for sure.
So sounds like you need to increase the number of cases for this year because so many ideas and so few battles. So it's, come on, put some more and we will all be happy to solve them.
We might be releasing another one for free as well.
Everybody wants to do a rejects case. Where is that? You know, everybody loves rejects. Totally.
There's on our rejects cases. There's our free case this month.
Oh.
This
I'll
month's
look
free
into that.
case from the Harrys is.
Oh dear. I don't want to learn rejects.
I think it is actually, that is a great discussion you were having though, Lorenzo, because when you start thinking of your own ideas for how to make a case that will befuddle everyone else around you, that's when you start thinking of new ways that you can plan and train yourself up. So part of kind of like thinking of creative case ideas is helping you train for scenarios that you don't actually already train for.
Yeah. Absolutely. This sounds like something we could be scared of.
Very much.
No.
That's why Harry was asking for pizzas from Spanish supermarket, frozen pizzas, which for me as an Italian, it's like something I cannot understand. I'm too traditional with regard to foods. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Everything makes sense now.
Just everything.
Yeah, everything. No, absolutely everything. Meaning of life is 42.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think we could be close to closing this session, unless you have some closing topics or thoughts you want to share.
I wanted to toss a question back at you because nobody asked you. Have you submitted any cases?
Me?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
No.
I had the Volcano variation one, which is, that. I have a few ideas on my wish list, but it's hard to find the time, to be honest. So not
Is-
yet. But
Is
I
it
would love to do so.
worse? Is it worse to have someone come up with your idea and have it released before you, or to be ready for that idea because you've already thought of that?
I mean, when I saw the case from Julien, I was so surprised, which that was the only, let's say, feeling that crossed my mind. I don't think I got any benefit because I just had the idea and the rough outline of the map structure, but didn't work out any specific logic. And to be honest, it was quite, very beautiful but still straightforward map case. So no surprise there. No new topic.
First case, map.
Yeah, exactly. The pattern holds apparently.
Ship the world, first case, map.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Census.
I will
Do you
admit
confirm? No, don't ask me.
I'll
not
admit
ask-
I had cryptography on my ideas list, so I was surprised that hadn't come up yet. Harry did a great
I
job.
was surprised. I was surprised it hadn't come up more recently than 2022. So, but even then, even if a case has come up before, but in the past, there's no reason why you can't put your own spin on something. I mean, there are themes that are repeated in different cases. It's not like if you write a map case, you've invented the concept of a map case. There are map cases every other month or almost as frequently as that. So it's all about how you manipulate those things.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think there's an appeal to the mats cases for someone as a first timer because that's what hooks you into playing the games the very first time. Every time when I started out in the competitions, I tried a few cases, but the ones that really hooked me as a first time player was working out the logic behind a map case for the first time.
Same here.
They can be a little intimidating too, though, if you're not
Yeah.
experienced with that.
But it also ends up kind of like being once you solve that for the first time, then you just feel like nothing can beat you. Just and then you meet everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, even going further in, I mean, I felt that both Ship the World by Benjamin and then Nick Boberg's deep sea diving case were really the two where I started to sort of go from amateur to beginner to someone who sort of knew what they were doing.
I
Those were
think
both
Ship the World
cases.
was my first map case, like proper map case where you have to do the whole recurring calculations there. I think that was Ship the World for me.
For me, it was
Bear Island.
it was Bear Island, and Bear Island is still, and it's definitely the favorite case it has been my favorite case for quite a long time. I think it's still one of my most favorite case, and I definitely took a lot of inspiration for Ship the World from Bear Island.
Yeah.
That was definitely a fantastic case.
I did it for the first time a little bit ago, like a couple of weeks. I the ending was hilarious. I was just laughing out loud.
Bear Island.
The bears and the
Yeah.
it's
It's
hilarious.
really. I definitely think this is one of the greatest case that exists. so
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think we can close. It was awesome to have you. So hope to have you again in the future sessions. For sure, we will have the Battle 3 debrief. So be prepared for that. But I think we will have more lounges coming before that. So it will be great to have you again. Thanks again, and thanks also to everyone who joined the session. We'll see you in the next one. Have a nice night for us and day if you are on the other side of the world. Bye.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Lorenzo.
Okay.